Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Your Footy Intake. I'm joined by my co-host Henry Lawson. Episode 3, we're back again and kept our promise. So, an eventful world in football in the past week. What do you think of the recent results?
Yeah, thank you. I think, as you said, it's been a very eventful week for kind of all teams considered in different positions. So we'll start off with Everton Newcastle. So as you were saying, big result for Steve Bruce and Newcastle. Callum Wilson firing and playing his role in their stepping stones to stay up this season because I think there is quite a big gap now, a considerable gap between them and the actual relegation zone. So I think
Definitely.
that was a, as you said, massive result for Steve Bruce and Newcastle. And I think also credit to, as you see in Team of the Week, Carl Darlow. He's been very solid for Newcastle in goal. So I think that's a massive
Definitely.
result for them. And for Everton, it is slightly concerning, but a good result. And Ed, what do you think about the City result and Sheffield United? They put up a good fight, didn't they?
Yeah, so definitely City, obviously with their incredible recent form, it seemed like they
Mm,
were going to put Sheffield to the stake today.
yeah, absolutely.
But it's not exactly been as convincing as
Yeah.
one would assume. 1-0, Sheffield, of course, with their fighting spirit. They put up a fight for City. I was expecting to see 5-0 on that scoreline,
Yeah.
but only the one from Gabriel Jesus, who's returned to the side. Good goal for him and
Hmm.
good for City to carry on this form that they're in. West Brom against Fulham, obviously not the biggest game in terms of two teams, but it had massive circumstances. Two teams in the relegation fight, 2-2, big score line, goal from Fulham late on to seal the point. Whoever had scored that last goal, say it'd be in the 90th minute,
Mm,
obviously there would have been that gap increased for
yeah.
Fulham, but that was not the case. Arsenal, Man United. What did you think of that game?
Yeah, I think though it kind of wasn't obviously the scoreline, I don't think the scoreline kind of reflects the amount of chances in that game.
No,
I personally
definitely.
think it could have gone easily either way. And I do think particularly Cavani just was not, both attacks, particularly Cavani
Yeah,
and United,
two
they were
sitters.
just not, exactly, two sitters. They were just not clinical enough up front. And I don't think the scoreline kind of reflects that game because it was a huge game in terms of kind of Man U. They could have stayed top, I think. Arsenal as well. They're trying to climb back up there with their kind of resurgence. So I think it was a big game and it was also quite a good game. So I do think that scoreline is kind of slightly misleading. But so I do think it could have gone either way and it was quite a good game to watch. But there we go, 0-0. It ends. And so that kind of leads me on to Chelsea Burnley, and obviously that
Yeah,
was Tuchel's first game in charge. What do you make of him and the Chelsea side? He put out that game.
yeah. Obviously, first game against Wolves
Mm,
wasn't exactly considered
yeah,
a game. It was just
boring, bit boring.
Chelsea dominating the whole match
Mm,
with their possession. But yeah, that was just a boring game. Not much to say about that. Chelsea Burnley yesterday. Obviously, with the new system, three at the back with Azpilicueta, Rudiger, and Silva, looking very, very solid. Tuchel obviously has trust in Azpilicueta as
yeah,
a
it
centre
did look
back,
good.
sees him as a centre back. I think personally, Azpilicueta's days at right back are over.
Mm,
He has not got the legs for these modern day left
exactly.
wingers
Yeah.
who just tends to be the most pacey on the pitch.
Hmm.
Centre back with his expertise and experience, absolutely incredible. Scored that
Yeah.
brilliant goal. Amazing game. Alonso, perhaps a shock decision to put left back with a spectacular goal you'd expect from the best.
Mm,
Just what a taste of what he's all about. Alonso obviously falling out with Frank Lampard, which
mm,
left him third choice left back, and
yeah.
it just wasn't that convincing for Alonso. But I'm really pleased with how Tuchel's begun. Wolves game, obviously, he had 24 hours in charge before that.
Yeah. He's kind
That
of
was still sort of the rubbings off of
yeah.
Frank Lampard's reign, and I like to say that the players were the manager in that game because there's not much Tuchel could have done
Mm,
to implement his expertise into that. But this game is the first taste of what's to come, with obviously Mason Mount proving why he belongs in that team. Played absolutely brilliant. Some of the turns he did in the match,
yeah.
just the spark of the team, which everyone needs. And Havertz, obviously, He came on. I think he's definitely looking better under Tuchel. And Werner, yeah, he had a few better moments. Obviously, he should have scored that goal, but he's definitely got some spirit back. And
Yeah,
obviously, the whole midfield had changed. Jorginho had come in. Obviously, Kante was injured, but that's still a change. And I thought he was absolutely brilliant. My man of the match, definitely.
yeah,
Although he didn't get the goals, just shows he's sort of giving me flashbacks to the game against Watford last year, where he did that incredible through ball to Tammy Abraham, where he lofted it over the keeper, and I thought it was brilliant. So in terms of Tuchel's first win in charge, I think it's all that I was expecting. Obviously, we expected to get huge results against Burnley because they're not exactly the biggest team. In recent results, we've always scored above 2 goals at least, and we've maintained that record. But yeah, obviously Leeds, they had their game against Leicester. Incredible game to watch. 3-1 against such a strong Leicester side who thumped Chelsea back in when
yeah.
Lampard was sacked. What did you think of that?
Yeah, I think that was a really, really good performance from Leeds, and credit to them because they always do go out and attack, that's how Bielsa likes to set up. And I do think it's great to watch, and all the neutral fans love it. And I do think, however, a part of it is down to how the opposition set up. You saw Leicester; they were completely struggling up front. No Vardy, obviously, so I think they put Ayutso Perez at striker, and it was, to be honest, disastrous because he just hasn't got the pace to get in behind. And when Leeds can control the possession this is why you see Leeds struggle to get big results against the big six because they can't control the possession. But you see when they do control the possession, a little bit like they did against Leicester, they can get results and they can get results against big sides. And I do think, yeah, partly because of Bielsa and obviously mainly because of Bielsa and how he set up his team, and credit to him for that. But also because Leicester did look a little bit weaker than usual. But yeah,
Yeah,
it was a really good performance. And finally, just on the last game of that game week, Brighton Tottenham 1-0 Brighton. I mean, pretty fair result to be honest. Good performance
pretty
from
fair
Brighton.
result.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what do you think?
definitely. Brighton, obviously, they've got those 3 centre backs who
Yeah,
are sort of the spine of their whole team.
yeah,
When you look at
definitely.
Brighton, you think of that centre back partnership of
Mm,
White, Webster, Dunk,
yeah,
chopping and changing, but it's always fundamentally those 3.
yeah,
That was what obviously Tottenham, probably the dominant team in terms of possession
mm.
and attack, but Kane out with his injury,
They just
you
don't
sort
look
of
like
gain the
scoring
old
though.
Tottenham.
They just don't look like
You gain the
scoring.
old Tottenham.
Yeah,
Son he's not exactly the same
yeah,
without Kane
100%. Yeah,
anymore.
yeah.
He doesn't really got that spark about him. I don't know if it's a chemistry thing or just his game. He can't play without Kane, which wouldn't be good. But it's looking quite shabby for Tottenham. They started so
Yeah,
well with that deadly partnership, but now he's gone. I've heard it's only around 2 weeks, so it's
yeah,
not that bad. But it's not great for Tottenham and Mourinho. And should they lose to Chelsea on Thursday, Mourinho, he could be the next manager in question
yeah.
because
I
it'll
agree.
just be back to the old Tottenham. Tottenham, obviously, they want to be in those Champions League positions and potentially
Mm,
fighting for the title, which seemed possible by the start from the start of the season. But I think it's just going to be another ordinary season for Tottenham if they carry on like this, just in the Europa League positions, and that's, I'm sure, not what Mourinho wants,
mm,
and not what they've employed him for, and giving
yeah.
him all of that money. Um, what would you say about Tottenham?
Yeah, I do agree. I mean, Kane is obviously such a big part of their team, and
Yeah,
I do think
definitely.
when he is out, and obviously he is out at the moment as he is, Mourinho I feel is a bit kind of tentative. He's a bit nervous to kind of go for it when Kane's out because I don't think he backs his players. Obviously, you got Sonny, but I don't think Son quite performs. Well, clearly he doesn't perform as well without Kane, and I think Mourinho recognises that. So I think Mourinho's a bit kind of nervous to put out an aggressive set of tactics, an aggressive lineup, even
Yeah,
especially against these smaller teams like Brighton when he hasn't got Kane, and that's why you see they just can't score. They've got the lowest XG in the league in recent games since Kane's been out, and they just don't look like scoring, to be honest. And I agree with you. I don't think they'll just continue to sit in the Europa League positions until
Yeah,
that changes.
definitely. I would say Gareth Bale, as he was put in that side, huge disappointment for
Yeah,
them. I mean,
yeah,
Gareth Bale, he should be. He used to be one of the best in the
yeah,
Premier League, if not top three in the league. He's come back, massive hype around him,
mm,
huge money he's on at Tottenham, and
hmm,
it's not gone great for him. He was poor against Brighton.
yeah,
It's poor to say the least.
yeah. Totally agree.
If it was almost like they're playing with 10 men,
Yeah,
having Gareth Bale.
they
He
do look
just
very lackluster.
does not bring what Kane brings to the side, and I think that's why Tottenham's form has spiraled
Hmm.
downwards.
Yeah,
But talking about spirals, the team who have spiraled up
yeah,
is of course Man City.
yeah,
Incredible. It's something like 18 games
yeah. 18 games
unbeaten.
unbeaten, 12 on the bounce. It's pretty
Definitely.
crazy, to be honest. You've got some players that are performing like they never have. Gundogan scoring, he's top scorer for them this season, which I think is credit to him and credit to Pep, because he's set up in a way where you can use all of his strengths. And obviously you've got Cancelo coming through a lot now. You've got Stones and Diaz, who are looking like, let's be honest, the best centre-back partnership in the league at the moment. And so I do think City look like they are the most well-rounded unit in the league, and I do think they will go on to win the league. What do you think? I think
Definitely.
City will.
Yeah. Well, Diaz and Stones are
It's crazy.
unplayable at the moment.
Yeah,
Crazy result. I mean, Man City last season, you could say they were a bit of a duffer. I
yeah,
mean, of course, it's hard to beat Liverpool when they were winning every
hmm,
single game up until a certain part of the season, but it's crazy from Man City. And once they're in this sort of form, as we've seen in
I don't think you can
2017,
stop them.
2018,
Yeah,
2019, they're unstoppable.
yeah,
They
I
are
totally
unstoppable.
agree. I think this
And
kind
I
of
think,
shows, like, sorry, I
yeah,
think this there seems to be a kind of pattern where teams will go kind of a year or 2 years usually, not normally 3, but 2 years, definitely a year kind of. You've seen City, as you said, City 2017-18, and then you had Liverpool obviously last season, and even though they didn't win the league the season before, they were kind of unstoppable as well. It was whatever 90 plus points, which is nuts. And so you get teams going at least 2 seasons flat out, right? City 2017-18, Liverpool last season before, even though they didn't win the league. And then it seems they kind of spiral off. And I think City have had that spiral last season, obviously. And I do think now they are back to their best. And you see Liverpool, I would say, are kind of in that spiral, though they're kind of coming out of it now. It's fairly obvious that they're not going to win the league. So I think, yeah, it's the kind of pattern with the big teams. But yeah, I do think City will go
definitely.
on to win the league.
I mean, Diaz, after 25 games, obviously there's a big stat out at the moment that he's statistically been better than Van Dijk, and
Yeah.
that's potentially something that we have to look at as him. He could probably, as Van Dijk's out this season, by the end of the season, if they carry on like this,
Mm.
him and Stones, they could be the new partnership, the old
Yeah.
Vidic and Ferdinand.
Yeah, I agree.
Which was so strong. Diaz, of course, he's so young. People forget that as he looks old, but he's a very young player and he's looking brilliant at the moment. And Pep Guardiola, when he signed the contract extension, obviously people were expecting a lot from him, and then they obviously weren't performing at the start of the season, but they've completely got over that obstacle and they're performing at their best, and I fully expect them to win the league.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And on that note, it's been me and your co-host, Henry
Yeah,
Wilson.
absolute pleasure, as always.
Thank you for listening. Make sure to like and subscribe as always, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, guys.